welcome. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Amanda.
and this is episode 36 of Books and Bingos. This week, we are discussing book releases coming in December and January. So, Amanda, this is the last episode of our very first season, and I looked back and we have recommended almost 200 books this season.
That's insane, especially since we didn't even start like last January. We started in April. So, that's a lot of books. I don't know about you, but we're getting our reading on.
Yes, and hopefully we're promoting a lot of reading. Hopefully in those 200 books, people have found a lot of good things to read. I'm excited to see what we get into for next year. Speaking of next year, we are going to be starting a seasonal book club session. So each season, we're going to pick a book to everybody read together, and then we'll have a little book club episode at the end of that season. So we're going to need your help voting for our first book. So for the first genre, we're going to pick a romance book. So you need to head over to our social medias and vote for which book you think we should read for our first book club book this winter. So make sure you head over and vote and let us know what you think.
Yeah, this is my genre pick, and I am so excited. Rachel actually picked the four options, and I am hoping people choose the rom-commers, but honestly, I'll read any of them. They all look really good and really cute and have been on the TBR. So any of them would be awesome. Cast your vote, read alongside us, and then join us to hear us chat about it.
Yes, and then also we'll be rounding out our bingo card while we're on a little holiday break. So the purple bingo card you can turn in anytime between now and January 2nd, but we're going to go ahead and drop the new bingo card that starts in January so you can get a jump start. A lot of the books we're talking about today will work for that new card. So we want to go ahead and make it available to you. And we have a lot of other cool new things coming next season. So I'm super excited to see what we get going,
Me too. I can't believe we're already at the end of season one. That's crazy.
right? A lot of episodes, a lot of books, but yeah, it feels good. And then we'll take a little break and we'll be back shortly. More on that later. But for now, Amanda, take us away with your first book pick.
My first pick is Fresh Start by Gale Galligan. If you have worked in a middle school, you should probably know who Gale is. She is one of my favorite graphic novel artists and released her first standalone as I think as an artist with freestyle. And then now we have Fresh Start coming out in January 7th. And I'm so excited because this graphic novel middle grade book is actually based on their childhood. So Ollie is used to moving around the world with her family. She's lived in Singapore, Korea, France, the US, and now Germany. But when her dad announces that they're moving to Virginia, this time permanently, Ollie must learn to adapt to American culture and what friendship really means because she's never had friends longer than a few months before they've had to move. Um, and she also deals with her gift for drawing manga, cultivating those new friendships that aren't short, that are actually going to be lifelong friendships. She also deals with her religion and her culture and identity. And then it also causes her to miss what her little sister Kat is going through because Ollie's in her own head. She's thinking about her own experiences and her own issues with having to stay in a place for a longer period of time that she misses some of the things that Kat is also dealing with. So it's really interesting to me to see it was to see if Ollie was able to survive this last fresh start. I really liked it because a lot of times if you're like an army brat, which my dad was growing up in a military family. He hated moving around a lot. So it was interesting to see Ollie was so excited to move every single time. It was like a new adventure. Like she says several times throughout the book, it was like a fresh start for her where she could be anyone she wanted to be, where she could make new friends, have new experiences. So the fact that they moved to Virginia and weren't leaving was definitely out of the norm for her. So I really, really loved this book from Graphics Books. It's the Scholastic imprint for graphic novels. And Gale's really, their artwork is probably some of my favorite of any graphic novel that I read. I believed that the fact that they set this book in a more modern time, like with cell phones and stuff, I appreciated that because I feel like kids are going to relate to that more than if they had set it in their actual childhood, which was probably around the time that you and I were growing up when we didn't have access to a lot of the technology that kids have now. So I really, really loved that. I definitely teared up at the end, and I feel like so many kids are going to see themselves in this one. It really does get into a lot of things with online cyberbullying, which we are filming this at the start of Digital Citizenship Week right now. So that really is a great connection between those two if you're interested in incorporating it into curriculum when it releases on January 7th. The content warnings are going to be cyberbullying, bullying in general, and themes of abandonment. The bingo squares, and this is the one on our purple card. No, our pink card is 2025 release nonfiction. And then I didn't include any of the women squares for this one because Gale Galligan uses they them pronouns, so it wouldn't be applicable. But can't wait for everyone to read this one. So excited for it to be out in the world.
Fantastic. I saw the cover of this and it looks like something the kids will definitely gravitate towards.
Right? It has that because Gail also did Babysitter Club graphic novels before.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
has that vibe, right? And they
Yes, it does.
just attack that whole section, anything that looks like that.
Yes, they do. Mine kind of falls in that category a little bit. It's called Chickenpox by Remy Lai. This is a middle grade graphic novel about family, friends, and chickenpox. So most of us have gotten chickenpox in our life. This family, some of them had, some of them hadn't, and it turns out kind of in a funny way. It's an adorable story with adorable artwork. Give this one to fans of Raina Telgemeier's Guts. We have our main character, Abby, is over all of her siblings that she refers to as the animals that share her home, which she refers to as the zoo. But suddenly, due to a contagious virus outbreak, she's now quarantined at home with all of them for days on end. I really like the character development that we see for several of the family members as they're on their healing journey with chickenpox, and also with Abby's two friends. I think it's full of relatable friend drama, especially for this age range, misunderstandings, and just, family being family that you truly love, but you just can't stand as well. Perfect for middle graders. Like I said, fans of Raina Telgemeier will really, really love this one. It was so cute. And while I think most of our kids nowadays may not remember getting chickenpox because they vaccinate for that now, this does not take place in the US, so they were not vaccinated against chickenpox originally. But yes, this comes out January 14th, and this will work for Bingo Square's 2025 release, BIPOC women representation and female author.
I can't believe I haven't even heard of this one. Like I usually read Remy's books like, as an arc,
Yeah.
you did. But I hadn't even heard of it. Like I had to look up the cover while you were talking and be like, I have to read this one because that just sounds adorable and very relatable. I got chicken pox when I was little and it was a nightmare. And I hated being home and itchy and miserable. So I can only imagine what that would be like with an entire family also suffering.
And she's the oldest of the siblings, so it
Ah,
kind of changes her viewpoint on a lot of things. And I think because she's the oldest, sometimes she is a little bit more over her childish younger siblings than maybe she would be otherwise. But like I said, the character growth is awesome. I think it's going to be a fun read for our kids. Like I mentioned, they may not have the chickenpox experience because that's kind of not a thing anymore here in the US, but it'll be interesting to talk about with them.
for sure. My second pick is X Marks the Spot by Gloria Chao. This is a young adult romance adventure book. I actually love Gloria Chao's American Panda and other stories that she's written. Definitely a go-to YA romance author for me. This follows Gemma, who has had to struggle her entire life because she grew up with a single mom who works multiple jobs and they don't have any other extended family. And but now Gemma has just graduated as co-valedictorian. The other one that was valedictorian was her ex-boyfriend that she cannot stand. So that was already like a great way to start the book. And right after graduation, Gemma learns that her mother's father has died. and left her something in his will. It's interesting because Gemma's mother never told her that her father was even still alive. So this definitely has her spiraling because she feels like her mother's been lying to her whole life. And what is left in the will for Gemma, she quickly learns, is the beginning of a treasure hunt, like a scavenger hunt, and it sends her to Taipei. Gemma is obviously doesn't have the money to go to Taipei and go on this treasure hunt that may end up with a dead end. Um, but she hates to do it, but she has to end up begging her ex Xander to let her into a summer abroad program so that she can't afford to go. She would go on scholarship with a bunch of other kids her age to explore her Taiwanese roots when she gets there. He agrees, and once they're there, it turns out that the scavenger hunt, treasure hunt, involves Xander and his family. And so he has to be a part of it with her, and they have to go through all the different clues. And I have no idea how Gloria Chao thought of these clues because not only are they like like a whole Knives Out inheritance games vibes with the clues. It's also in Chinese, in Mandarin. So they have like it was a whole extra level on that. And then it ends up that the whole journey that she's going through with these clues, she learns more and more about her grandfather and the kind of man he was. And she wishes she would have been able to meet him. This was so well researched and well written. I felt like I was actually on vacation in Taipei while I was reading this because it's like a guidebook and it takes these two teens on a journey throughout we get to learn about museums and national like landmarks and just like so many great things as well as so much food. So reading this hungry was not a good choice for me because I felt like I just wanted to eat every single thing that they talk about in the book. Fans of Love Boat Taipei and the Inheritance Games will love this novel because I believe it's a great blending of what made those two series so good. Um, and then I also got teary at the end because of how much Gemma's able to learn about her grandfather and not able to ever be able to meet him. So the tropes for this would be enemies to lovers, second chance romance, travel, and treasure hunt. So if you like any of those things, you'll love this one that comes out December 31st. Content warnings would be death of a grandparent, abandonment, classism, grief, and generational trauma. The bingo squares would be romance, 2024 release, woman author, BIPOC woman author, and mystery.
I would say like my gut reaction is to be like, I don't like treasure hunt books, but then I think back and treasure hunt books and movies, I like them when there's a romance element to them. I think that's
Right?
really what gets me. Like just a regular old treasure hunt, no thank you. But if there is an option for a romance, I'm in.
It was just so good. And that's like actually my favorite tropes. I love like a second chance romance, but there's like tension, like anger between them because of some issue that happened. And I know you don't like miscommunication romance or like that's why they're at odds. It's like if y'all would just talk, but also they're 18 years old. So I gotta kind of think like
You can
they're
forgive them a little.
exactly just a little bit.
All right, my next one is, true to form for me. It's called Secrets of the Dead, Mummies, and Other Human Remains from Around the World. This is by Matt Rouse and Gordy Wright. This is a middle grade question mark nonfiction about mummified and preserved remains from all around the globe. I would say the reading level would be fine for middle grade, and honestly, I think most of my kids would totally dig this book, but middle grade is such a weird level because there are a lot of sensitivities involved and sometimes they don't know those yet. So just be a little leery because I mean, we're talking about dead bodies and actual like human remains. So if they're there for it, then if they read mummy books, this is for them. I believe this is actually going to be a junior library guild pick in January, which I'm very excited about. And I love that this was broken down into different countries. We really kind of explore the whole world, as the title suggests, and they point out knowledge that can be gained from studying the remains. I felt like this wasn't so much like, go on a treasure hunt and find these things for personal gain, but like studying what you find to learn about how past civilizations have survived and what their lives would be like. And, taking a moment to think about the people that we're finding as actual people. So I really liked that. I'm always interested in Pompeii and the Northwest Passage. Those are some ones that'll always get me reading. But we also talked about in this book sacrifices, like past cultures that would sacrifice people for the betterment of their group, and self mummifying monks. So that was a whole thing. It's great intro for kids, middle grade students. I know as an adult, I wish there was like a more to it though. I think the kids will like it. It'll be enough for them, but I'm like, I need more. I need more information right now. So I'm going to be researching, I feel like, a lot of these topics now and see if I can find more books about each one of these types of remains that they're finding. This will be coming in January 14, 2025. Lots of body related gore, death, child death, disease, suicide, murder, violence. It's pretty gory because, like I said, you're talking about humans, how they died, and their remains. So keep that in mind. Bingo Squares 2025 release, Women from History and Nonfiction.
Yeah, I didn't recognize it from the title, but I looked at the cover and I have it as one of my Junior Library Guild picks for January. So I'm excited to get that one because I do have kids that are very interested in that stuff. And I feel like if they're reading like all of these different like fiction stories about this stuff, this takes it to that next level where they're actually learning about the mummification process and like,
Yes.
the history behind it. So
Yeah, and like one of the ones they talked about were bog people and how the way bogs are set up in nature, it's like perfect for like mummifying people. So I had no idea. So I mean, it really mixes in a lot of science and a lot of just information. So really, really good pick.
nice.
And those are our recommendations for the week and for this season. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to work with us on season two, reach out on social media at Books and Bingos or email us at booksandbingos@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and join us again next year. We'll be taking a holiday break, but we'll be back on January 10th, 2025 with recommendations for our Books and Bingos reading challenge. Happy reading and happy holidays. Uh, put it twice on there, and I almost read it twice.
I was gonna say that's a really long title.
Yeah.